Okay, so we're going to run through a couple more examples for each section. You should have already done 6.5 material. You should have watched my video or the department's video or read the book. Okay, so this is just a few additional practice problems, not as much of the explanation. So let's say that we've got a function, and in this section we looked at quadratics that were in this form. So we had a times x minus h squared plus k, and we looked at what all these numbers do to the graph. Okay, so again, if you haven't watched the basic video, you need to go back and watch that. So the things that we learned in that section was that the a out front, okay, if a is positive, that means it's a parabola facing up. And if a was negative, it was a parabola facing down. Okay, so remember, if we put a negative out front, that's going to be a reflection. Changed all of our y values. We also learned that if a was bigger than 1, so like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, anything like that, it was going to make the parabola look taller, which also makes it look more narrow. It's actually taller, but it looks more narrow. And then if the leading coefficient is less than 1, that makes it look, let me say, be consistent here, shorter or wider. Okay, so if we had like a 1/2 out front, that's going to look wider than our standard U shape. If you have a 3 out front, it's going to be taller. If it's positive, it's facing up. If it's negative, it's facing down. Okay, so we see all of that in the A that's out front. The H and the K, remember those told us the shifting, left, right, up, and down. So we did it as C. Here, let's do it. Let me take it away from the HK for just a second. So remember, if we had x plus, we did this one first. Okay, so we did this where you're adding on the outside. So remember that if you had x squared plus c, let me put it over here, x squared plus c, that was going to shift us up by c. And if we had x squared minus c, that was going to shift us down by c. So if you're adding or subtracting a number on the outside, that's going to shift you up or down. And then if it's on the inside, let me put it over here. Okay, remember that inside was left and right, but it's opposite what you'd expect. So plus shifts to the left and minus shifts to the right. So you go left and right, but opposite. So x plus c is going to shift us left by c, and x minus c is going to shift us right by c. And again, all the explanation for that was in the section. All right, so if we're adding or subtracting on the outside, that's going to shift us up and down. If we're adding or subtracting on the inside, that's going to shift us left and right. So now coming back up to our quadratic here, the A tells us a lot about the shape and facing up and down. The HK here, you can either think of it in terms of shifting. Okay, this is telling me to go H to the right and K up. Okay, or depending on the signs, it might go a different direction. So the center, or the vertex, is going to be HK. It's going to be opposite sign and then same sign. The opposite sign because of right here, it's opposite what you expect on the inside, and then same sign over here. All right, let's look at one with numbers just so that this all makes sense. So let's say that we've got y equals x plus 2 squared minus 4. All right, so we have a 1 out front. Positive 1 tells us that we're going to be facing up. It's not bigger or smaller than 1, it's just 1, so it's just going to be the regular shape. It's not going to be narrower or wider than our regular, it's just going to be regular. The minus 2 on the inside tells us that we're going to shift left 2. And then the negative 4 on the outside tells us that we're going to go down 4. Okay, so inside is left and right, but it's opposite. Outside is up and down, and it is what you'd expect. So you should be able to, from that information, you should be able to do a little sketch. Left 2, down 4, right there, okay? And be able to sketch that. You should have an idea of what that looks like immediately just from looking at the equation. That's what we want, is to be able to look at the equation and have an idea of what's going on. All right, so let's graph a few of these for this section. We're just going to do some sketches and make sure that we understand the shifting. Okay, so let's say that we've got y is equal to 2x plus 1 squared plus 3. Okay, make sure you understand what all of these numbers do to the problem. So 2 multiplying by 2 is going to make it taller. Okay, and it's positive, so it's facing up. Plus 1 on the inside. Inside is left and right, and opposite what you'd expect. So this is going to take us left by 1. And then outside is up and down, so it's going to take us up 3. Okay, so we're going to go left 1, up 3. Doesn't matter, or you can go up 3, left 1. Doesn't matter the order. Left 1, up 3. And it's going to be a little bit taller and skinnier and facing upward. So let's see if we can graph this. Okay, left 1 and up 3. And then it's going to be, see our picture on the right here? It's going to be a little bit skinnier than that. So it's going to be maybe like that. Okay, so make sure that you know what all of those numbers are going to do to the graph. All right, let's try another one. Let's say we've got negative 3, x minus 2 squared minus 4. Graph this one. Okay, again, let's go through and see what all the numbers do to the graph. So what does a negative 3 out front tell us? Okay, the 3 tells us it's going to be more narrow or taller. And the negative tells us that it's going to be facing down. Negative tells us down, 3 tells us narrow. Minus 2 on the inside. Inside is left and right and opposite, so that's going to take us to the right by 2. And the 4 is on the outside, so it's going to take us down by 4. Okay, so we're going to go right 2, down 4. And it's going to be kind of narrow and facing down. Okay, so that's the idea there. Make sure that you can account for those numbers and that you can get a quick sketch. Now in the next section we're going to do a little bit more than this, but for this section you just need to be able to get a quick sketch of it.